Good morning. Good morning. We must have to add one more in there. What a glorious spring morning. What a glorious morning. So on this Easter Sunday, in many Christian traditions, but not all, in the middle of Pesach, or Passover in the Jewish traditions, between the end of Ramadan and the beginning of Eid al-Adha in the Islamic traditions, and between the spring equinox and the summer solstice for those who tune into the earth's rhythms, we gather within all our personal and religious variety with the aspirational commitment to let love guide us, and to let that commitment be evidenced in everything that we do, including, in a moment, in how we greet and interact with one another. So to help us be present, let's check and turn off the ringers on our cell phones. Mine just beeped a little bit ago. And take a deep breath. And get ready to be both kind and real, and greet those around us with sensitivity and openness, ensuring that everyone around us is being seen and welcomed with care, whatever has brought us through the doors this morning. I invite you to greet one another. Thank you for that. Jim Perkins offers our land acknowledgement this morning, the chair of your nominating committee.
The Nisenan people have practiced harmony with the land and nature for many centuries, applying a wisdom deep in their souls and evidenced by their practice. Their wisdom says, be a sustainable part of all living things, the wisdom of life. We understand we are on Nisenan land that was never ceded, never given up, and the original tribal families have yet to recover from the genocide of their people. We commit ourselves to supporting the Nisenan in their efforts to stabilize their people and restore tribal sovereignty. By placing this basket of black oak acorns at our altar, we acknowledge the Nisenan people are still here among us today, though nearly invisible after generations of exclusion. Their wisdom lives on to be a cornerstone of human survivability.
Thank you, Jim. And Maureen offers our chalice lighting words, this ritual that marks this time is set aside for important things. I wonder if someone would like to light the chalice this morning after Maureen reads the words. Yeah, would you come up and be ready to light? But we'll wait for the words. Yeah.
This is by Reverend David Breeden. Welcome to a new story. Welcome to a day unwritten. We gather to speak of possibility. We remember the losses. We celebrate the victories. We embrace the possible rather than the probable, weaving a story of hope. Join us in a new story. Join us in the day unwritten. Join us in the future of possibility. Welcome to this place of possibility.
I feel blessed to be here today with each one of you. Thank you for getting up in this bright, beautiful day and joining us. Good morning and welcome. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Community of the Mountains in Grass Valley, California. Welcome to those of us in this sanctuary right now, to those of us who will later be on Zoom, and to those of us who will participate on YouTube later. A special welcome to those who walked in here today for the first time. Thank you. We look forward to getting to know you. Wherever you are and whoever you are, you're welcome here. I'm Marlene Bottenfield, Worship Associate for today's service, and I will be helping Reverend Kevin Tarsa with the service. In my exploring what it was to be a worship associate, I decided to sign up to be the worship associate for the entire month of April. So you're going to be with me for the whole time while we're embracing possibility. When I was first training to be a worship associate, Kevin and Gail made it look like a breeze as they created the entire services for the month of November. Their skills blended so beautifully together. I'm definitely not there. Fortunately, I've had helping hands along the way. Viv Tipton has helped me by selecting the readings as well as finding readers for most of this month, and Tracy Pepper has shared her vision for next month or next Sunday's service with me. Jax and Jim Bear have willingly been tortured by me for their Green Sanctuary message on April 19th. My load was lightened by our community's willingness to reach out and help, and I want to thank you for that. In this month's services of Embracing Possibilities, may we each find the possibilities that are calling out to us for our own life. Welcome to one and all, and thank you for being here today.
You may know that humming is one of those physical activities that calms us. I invite you to hum for a moment. Breathe when you need to. Humming together, of course, takes on another layer of connectivity. So we've been lighting a candle of compassion, resistance, and resilience for a year now, plus, and often we'll name some aspect of what's in that for this moment. But there's so much in any given week. It's a placeholder for all that's going on in the nation and the world that's too much to try to address all the time. But this morning I'm going to ask for your help. So I would ask you if you would call out a few of the things for each of these. So for what or for whom are you trying to call up or hold on to your deep compassion right now? For what or for whom are you trying to hang on or find your compassion? Our military. Our leadership. People in Ukraine. People in Iran. In Lebanon. my enemies. And toward what or for whom are you feeling or wanting to embody your courageous and holy resistance lately? For what or for whom are you wanting to call up some resistance and activate it? My children. My grandchildren. The planet. Democracy. And where in your life or in the world or in whom are you noticing evidence of blessed resilience? Where are you noticing resilience? The Buddhist monks. Nature. The garden. In this very room. American people. Someone feel moved to light our candle of compassion, resistance, and resilience this morning? Someone who hasn't done it? Great. Just hanging on, it's appropriate somehow. It's appropriate. So in the spirit of the, thank you, in the spirit of the calls to compassion, in the spirit of the pulls we feel toward resistance, in the spirit of the forms of resilience unfolding in the midst of so much disruption, I invite us to sing Heidi Ann Wilson's song, Hold On, picked up this January by people in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and sung there in neighborhoods and on street corners to anyone in jeopardy who might need to hear it. It's since spread around the country. The song was born exactly 6 years earlier in response to the suicide of a young man named Finn in a small town in Vermont. At the local school in bitter January cold and wind, which made it difficult to hear, before people had surfaced words in themselves to meet the moment, Heidi asked people gathered in a vigil outside the school to move in closer and closer and closer, till shoulder to shoulder they sang. Sang to Finn's mom and family and friends and to one another. Hold on. Hold on, my dear ones. Here comes the dawn. I invite us to rise in body or in spirit and to sing it shoulder to shoulder in essence, heart to art, for all who need to hear it. We'll get a chance to hear Heather sing it first.
Hold on, hold on, my dear ones, here comes the dawn. Hold on, Hold on, hold on, my dear ones. Here comes the dawn. Hold on, my dear ones. Here comes the dawn. Hold on, hold on, my dear ones. Here comes the dawn. Hold on, hold on, my dear ones. Here comes the dawn.
Thank you. I invite us to continue our acknowledging of joys and sorrows, which we've already begun. Given all the ways you are holding on these days and singing or signaling to others to hold on, I invite us into this ritual. If you're here for the first time, it's a ritual for those who wish of coming forward, picking up a stone from the table, putting the stone in the bowl of water, letting that stone represent all that's in you, and the bowl and the water represent all that holds you. If this is a time for prayer for you, I invite you into that prayer. If this is a time for stillness in a busy week, I invite you into that stillness. If this is a time to notice where your heart is at, may this be a time you notice. I invite us to hold each other in the music and the care and the ritual. prayer for the possibility of both and, from the Reverend Lynn Cox to our hearts this morning. Spirit of life, our most open way of naming in our tradition. Spirit of life, ever adapting and renewing. We come together this morning with yearnings that do not match.
We yearn for stability, for even one moment of feeling like we know what is going on.
For the ability to predict and prepare for what's coming next.
Yet we also yearn for change.
We ache for a world that turns aside from racism, violence, dehumanization, and disregard for suffering.
Source of wonder, move us to express and live in gratitude for the beauty of this world.
The loving people in our lives.
And this day of possibility.
Hold on, hold on, my dear ones, here comes the dawn. Hold on, my dear ones, here comes the dawn.
In preparing for today's Easter service, I researched the origin of Easter and learned some new to me things. Historical researchers found that Jesus was crucified on Nisan 14, that's Friday, April 3rd, AD 33, the day that the Jewish people historically sacrificed a lamb for Passover. However, unlike the four-legged sacrificed lambs, Jesus' followers believed that he returned, renewed in spirit, and was able to guide them in carrying on his teachings. I share a quote now from Richard Rohr, a Franciscan who lives and works on the fringes of the Catholic Church. This is from his book, Eager to Love. When we start with big universal ideas at the level of concepts and isms, we too often stay there and argue about theory, forever making more distinctions. At that level, the mind is totally in charge. It is then easy to love humanity, but not any individual people. We defend our principles of justice, but would not put ourselves out to live full, just lives ourselves. This takes different forms on the left and on the right, to put it in political terms. And this is still quoting from Richard Rohr. Liberals love political correctness itself and get authoritarian about process and language as recently defined. Conservatives love their validating group for their own sake and become authoritarian about its symbols, forever defining the rules and rights of membership to that group. Both sides risk becoming word police and symbol protectors instead of actually changing the world or themselves by offering the healing energy of love. Outpouring love is the inherent shape of the universe, and when we love, only then do we fully exist in this universe. We do not need to understand what is happening, or for Richard, who God is, before we can live in love. Father Richard goes on to question what kind of God would demand that a human being be tortured on a cross for forgiveness of someone else's sins. Most of us have probably asked ourselves that. In fact, it might be the reason that many of us have stepped away from Christianity. Perhaps we can create a different meaning of the cross and resurrection this Easter Sunday. Can the cross symbolize those times when, in fear or misunderstanding, we were willing to judge others' differences as less valuable than our own and want them punished for their error? Can it symbolize those times when we stood fast in integrity for what we believed in, even when judgment was being placed on us? And what about the resurrection? There are so many possibilities for interpretation. Can it be that when we do stand fast in integrity, even when it would be easier to give in, that we learn something new about ourselves, that we grow into deeper understanding and wisdom? Or what about when someone we deeply treasure dies and our memories gather around and open up deeper understanding of who they were as a person and what beautiful gifts they have left us? Or what about when someone we love has died and we actually feel in our hearts their presence is with us and that it guides us sometimes? Maybe we even see them sitting at the table with us, or sense them in the room, or hear them talking to us, advising us. Are all these possibilities for different ways to look at resurrection? Would it be right to say that one is right and the other two are wrong?
A little ringing there. Thanks. Thank you, Marlene, very much for reflecting on the moment. I named a variety of religious and earthly celebrations and orientations at the very beginning of the service today to lift up the value in our UU tradition of pluralism, of recognizing that even in one room, like this one on a Sunday morning, we hold a variety of perspectives and beliefs. As Ken Wilber put it, I have one major rule: everybody is right. More specifically, he clarifies, everybody, including me, has some important pieces of the truth. Our two merged traditions, Unitarianism, which insisted that we have to keep applying our evolving knowledge and understanding of everything to religion, and Universalism, which insisted that we have to include everyone in the end, even the people we don't like or don't agree with, were each born in the Calvinist Christian tradition, which became, for our ancestors, too restrictive in too many ways to stay. Though you might not know it from how we talk and act sometimes, both of our parent traditions arrived at the inconvenient truth that everyone is right, or more specifically, that everyone sees or holds some important pieces of the truth, even as we honor also our fierce compassion and our liberal need to prioritize protecting those we see as most vulnerable and most harmed. We UUs carry forward and live our inherited priorities of open-mindedness and open-heartedness very imperfectly, always. And yet, I suggest these remain the guiding aspirations that are out on the horizon in front of us, that are always saying, this is where we're headed. Now, the defining core of Christianity celebrated this week by some of our friends and family and neighbors, the death and resurrection of Jesus and Christianity in general, are rarely at the center of our UU communities anymore, though they can be for a given congregation. Our Unitarian insistence on following our evolving understandings of the world, of life, and of being human have carried the center of our religious tradition rather far from that explicitly Christian origin and focus. So the question every year is whether and what to do with Easter Sunday. What do we do with it? Knowing that for some here right now, Easter offers a powerfully meaningful story that holds important pieces of the truth. That for some people here right now, the story of Jesus' death and resurrection is neither here nor there, neither important nor off-putting. And that for some people here right now, this particular image and ideal of redemptive suffering and miracle taps into very painful memories and experiences. Experiences of rejection, hurt, ostracization, or being asked to believe something you could not in good conscience or with integrity believe. What's a UU to do? To locate some common ground amid our diversity, we might begin with the UU approach, which is not to decide and declare what the story means or doesn't mean for anyone else, but rather to ask our varied selves whether and what pieces of truth it might hold. Not what pieces of fact or history it holds, but rather what pieces of truth it might hold, whether or not it happened. Marlene modeled this for us already in her reflections on resurrection. And why do this? Because despite our Unitarian tradition's headiness and propensity to intellectualize everything, we come from the end of the religious spectrum that believes that to insist on the literalness of any such story is to misinterpret its meaning and to diminish its power. That the point of such a story is instead to evoke something in us that we recognize as true or important. That's the point. So here's the story of a radically inclusive, charismatic, and inspiring Jewish teacher who, as Bar Ehrman points out, stretched the bounds of the ethics of his day beyond the Greek and Roman ethics, which said that it's important to treat your family and friends and social equals well when they're in need, and to do it when you can, and beyond the more demanding Jewish ethics, which said you should treat not only your friends and family and social equals well, but all Israelites when they are in need, and that it's your responsibility to do so if you have the means and the resources. To teach the even more radical idea that one's compassion should extend to everyone, all people who are in need, fellow Jews, in that case, Samaritans, pagans, even your enemies, and that one should not just give if you can or if you have the resources, but that one should devote their entire life and all their resources, everything they own, even their life, to help those in need. That's the radical message. So here's this teacher who says the story, gathers crowds with the strength and inspiration of his message, who inspires people to sell everything they own and to leave their families and vocations and communities to join him, who believes that the world is going to end actually very, very soon, and that time is of the essence, whose message and behavior threatens the comfort and security of local political and religious leaders, who is betrayed by one of his own, arrested, tortured, and executed very publicly and very violently, whose body is placed hastily in a tomb which a few days later is found empty, and who is said to be alive somehow, after all, resurrected from the state of being dead, and later reported to be seen and heard by others who hadn't believed it could be true. So, in the spirit of the pluralism that we say is that one of our core values, one of our primary expressions of love, and in the spirit of recognizing that everyone holds pieces of the truth, let's do a little Unitarian Universalism together. Let's practice our pluralism this Easter Sunday. in the middle of Pesach, or Passover, between the end of Ramadan and the beginning of Eid al-Adha, between the spring equinox and the summer solstice, let's practice what we say we believe is important, which is to say, rather than insisting on our personal truth, let's share our truths and listen with open-hearted curiosity for the pieces of truth that others hold. So first, let me ask, those of you who do, or who can find helpful or applicable meaning evoked by something in the Jesus and Easter story as you know it, something that speaks to the way you understand and experience or are trying to live in the world, what's one of its meanings for you? Those who can, what's one of its meanings? And Randy, I'm going to grab the mic that Heather has because I forgot to ask you for the second one. Now, I know we could have talked about bunnies and chicks and eggs and chocolate today, which would have been easier. But what important and helpful truths are evoked for you, in you, through the story, the Christian Easter story? Those of you who actually hold some appreciation for it or can.
How can I grow and transform personally?
That suffering is finite, even if it's horrible, and maybe some sort of resurrection and restoration after that is possible.
That martyrdom can be an inspiration.
This is interesting because I'm trying to do something similar with the kids upstairs today. And what we're going to talk about is how when you lose someone that you love, one of the ways to keep them alive is to tell stories about them. And that essentially the Bible is stories told by the people who love Jesus to keep him alive and in our hearts. So.
That there is an ongoing and transformative property always present in the midst of our chaotic lives.
That sometimes accepting what life is offering you can provide more healing, not only for yourself, but also for others, than trying to resist what life is bringing you.
Fellow introverts, we're giving you spaciousness to call up those thoughts that are trying to get to the surface.
That faith and hope, can be very powerful tools to keep you going, in things that, other folks might just, I don't think that's right, but, just to keep you going.
A couple more, a few more. That's the hint to the introverts.
So the words aren't exactly what I'm trying to bring forward, but the idea that we are able as humans to celebrate birth as a beginning, and maybe settling into celebrating death as also a beginning.
Are we complete for the moment? I'm really moved by those responses. Wow, what beautiful picking up of threads of that story. One of the reasons I'm doing this is because those of us who have left a Christian context have a tendency to ridicule it sometimes in these settings. And I want to help us address that, to say, wait a minute, this is really important to some people. That's not what we're about. Even though it may not be for us, we may not see it as what makes sense for us, but also not to denigrate that it matters to somebody else. So thank you for your willingness to do that. Those are really, really beautiful, beautiful responses. My UU colleague, the Reverend Vertus Robinson, he wrote very movingly of growing up singing in a Black Pentecostal church every Easter Sunday the song, "Can't No Grave Hold My Body Down." He writes, for nearly 100 years, the triumph of Jesus' death has inspired Black Pentecostals to sing with vigor that we will rise, as they believed Jesus did. He suffered for his beliefs. He resisted, he loved, and he died. It inspires me, Vertus writes, to not fear death when resisting erasure. He goes on to say that "Can't No Grave Hold My Body Down" has not been a song sung in UU congregations. But after years during which his theology and his faith have been transformed, very different from his Pentecostal childhood, the song has been coming back to him lately. He writes, in an era of certain oppression, living our values calls me to resistance. Fear of harm, fear of death, fear of erasure, forced into closets and into stealth mode, living our values calls us to action. "Can't no grave hold my body down" inspires me, he says, to not fear harm when resisting oppression. I've shared on a previous Easter Sunday that the part of the story that I find most moving is the very human story surrounding the story. The experience of those followers of Jesus, and some of you alluded to this, those followers of Jesus and his message, people who were so taken with him that they gave up everything to follow him and to live it, and who then, in his death, had their hope and anticipation-filled world violently and traumatically and suddenly crushed, ended, who still found a way to pick up the threads of what mattered to them in what he had taught, and who found ways to live it at their own continued peril, in fact, in small idealistic communities. That resilience, after that level of tragedy, for me, one of its resonant messages is that as long as I'm alive, it's not over. No matter how bad or how tragic or painful things might get, possibility continues as long as I do. For me, personally, it matches my inclination to hold open a space for possibility, maybe even to embrace possibility till the very end. It's a source of hope for me when things are hard. In the verses of the Easter Alleluia we are about to sing together, I wove in the words of British Unitarian John Andrew Story, who wrote, "A promise through the ages rings that always, always something sings. This is the message Easter brings." It's his take on the Easter story for Unitarians, and also mine, an attempt to help us sing something together that allows us to hold multiple and varied truths at the same time, and still to be one community somehow. I'm about to be with my 7 siblings again for a week as we care for one of our own. The Christian faith that they hold is vitally important and meaningful to most of them. It is not to me. One of my hopes in inviting us into this exploration and practice this morning is to give us a chance together to practice what we preach, that we need not think alike to love alike, that everyone holds pieces of the truth, and that this is the nature of being human. At least it's the nature we seek to cultivate in and among us and to live with others beyond these or any walls. So I invite you to rise in body or in spirit, and if you're willing, to sing your Alleluia, your gratitudes and praise for what is, for what you're glad and grateful for, even in an often challenging, unpredictable, worrisome, and tragic world, without knowing exactly what the people around us mean as they sing. I invite us to sing our varied Alleluias, our Easter Alleluias today, together, in community.
In the darkness I know that the eye begins to see, but my heart weighed heavy cries my plea that underneath the winter snow in the quiet lies the seed of the song I long to find in me. Alleluia, 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 As the earth wakes again, we're reminded every spring that a promise through the ages rings, that love will rise beyond despair. That's the message Easter brings, that always, always something sings. Alleluia, 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 In your heart lives the song of a love that makes things new. Search the stories, find the peace that's true, and let your love become so strong that you know by heart the song of hope and love that sings through you. Alleluia, 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 alleluia.
Sorry, that really was incredible for me. So let's just hold it for a moment and the beauty of that song and the gifts we have in ourselves to share with each other. And so may it be. This church is a community of ourselves. Its energy and resources are our energy and resources. Its wealth is what we share. As we contribute to the life of this community, we affirm our lives within it. 50% of our offering this month will support Immigrant Rights Network. Heidi Lynn, who has been a member of UUCM for 4 months, is a thinker, seeker, and sustainability strategist and brings a lifelong commitment to systems, fairness, and aligning values with action. She is the UUCM Justice Committee liaison with the Nevada County Immigrant Rights Network and a member of its organizing committee, and will be speaking briefly this morning about their network. Thank you, Heidi.
Good morning. First, I would like to celebrate a full year of building community and worshiping with you. Rod and I first attended UUCM last Easter. More importantly, this month, UUCM's chosen nonprofit for Share the Plate is an organization doing vital work, the Nevada County Immigrant Rights Network. I'm asking for your engagement, your voice, and your support. I want to start with something we already know, something we affirm together in our principles, the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Not every documented person, not every citizen, every person. That principle is being tested right now in Nevada County, in California, in this country. The administration's escalating actions against immigrant communities are not abstract policy disputes. They are raids. They are detentions. They are families separated and neighbors made to feel like strangers in their own homes. They are acts of violence, physical, legal, and psychological, against some of the most vulnerable people in our communities. And the administration's goal is not simply enforcement. The goal is fear. Fear that silences us, divides us, and convinces those of us with more security that if we just stay quiet, we will be spared. I believe the people in this room reject that bargain, as do most people in Nevada County. This is why the Nevada County Immigrant Rights Network exists. The network is organizing us to stand together, visibly, on the record, with our immigrant neighbors. The network is circulating a petition calling on the Nevada County Board of Supervisors to publicly affirm every resident's right to safety, dignity, and belonging, and to adopt real protections for all residents without exception. Solidarity behind closed doors and silence on the record is not solidarity at all. As Unitarian Universalists, we covenant with each other to show up, to act justly, and to affirm that love is not a private feeling, but a public practice. The time is now. Your help to fund the network will allow us to continue to support our immigrant neighbors whether it is helping out with PG&E bills or fixing a car needed for work. We collaborate closely with the Latino Outreach Program within the Family Resources Centers to ensure we are funding true needs. We would like to expand our funding ability, and your donations will be used to directly help our neighbors. Also, please consider signing the petition that's in the foyer. And if you feel called to do more, the network needs you. The arc of the moral universe, as we like to say, is long, but it does not bend by itself. It bends because people gathered in rooms like this one decide it is time to pull. This is that time. I hope you'll join us, and thank you.
Thank you, Heidi Lynn. We dedicate these gifts to the vital work of the Immigrant Rights Network in our community and to the work of this congregation, weaving a tapestry of compassion and action, faith and fellowship, hope and wholeness.
Oh, happy day. Thank you, Heather, for the music. Very much so. Beautiful singing. Yeah, your voice helped lead us through the Easter Alleluia. Thank you. And I love these touches, right? Oh, happy day, when Jesus walked. Thank you. Marlene, thank you for being a worship associate, not just today, but for the entire month of April. Yeah. Much appreciated. Cypress and Randy came bright and early this morning to help get the sound set up and then to run it for not only this service, but the next one. Thank you. Thanks to Eileen, who's be back on chat host again this week. She actually had a week off thanks to Daniel. So thanks to Daniel for last week. Shanti, thank you for the setting. Beautiful blue setting this morning. Robin Hart did our banner design for us. This is the new one for the month. Jim was here also bright and early, and Lori for greeting. Sarah Joy and Jean will be here for later as well. Thanks to those who've been helping set up refreshments, Cynthia, Laura, and Viv. And Cheryl, I'm so glad you get to come to a service and be part of Kids Connection. Welcome with Corey later. And thank you everyone for leaning into the service, for offering some of your thoughts, experiences, expressions, feelings. That's very moving to me. A few announcements for today. Again, these are sample announcements that sort of remind us, oh, there are things going on. I'm going to say that one of them is Lori is organizing the cleaning of the inside of the new space, the building. She'd be glad for some folks this week who would like to participate in that way. It's great for introverts. Come and do some cleaning. Right after the second service today, we'll do UU 101. If you're new and want to find out a little bit more about what this is all about, come on back at 12:30. The land crew at Squirrel Creek is meeting on Tuesday. Marlene and her beloved Cliff are guiding that, so that it's been a really active and vital crew. And the kitchen crew is going to gather on Thursday, which is all about transitioning from this to that kitchen. So those are a few of the possibilities. Oh, the Utah Phillips Library is a fundraiser. So Utah Phillips was a member of this congregation and an originator of what is now Hospitality House or Utah's Place. So look for the opportunity on the 10th to participate in celebrating his legacy. And as always, check out the website, read the e-chalice, read the bridge, read the mountain chalice for finding out what's going on. So to close, I'm going to invite us just to bring that Alleluia back a time through. To call up those alleluias for us and invite us to look for those connections with the people who think differently than we do. Look for the way that we can actually find something to appreciate in what someone else appreciates. I invite you to rise in body or in spirit once again and to sing. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
The words and wisdom of Alex Holt. For all those who celebrate the resurrection of Jesus, may this day be another affirmation of divine love and promise. For all those who seek the eternal story of new spring and life beginning anew, may you breathe deeply of a season of promise and hope. For all those who are experiencing despair or hopelessness this Easter, may you find in the darkness or depression a doorway to light and warmth that offers you freedom. For all of us, together we can do what no one isolated person can do. Rolling the heavy stone aside reminds us we are far more powerful than we ever could be on our own. Our offerings of strong hands to help our prayers made real. Let us begin again to love. Though we now extinguish our chalice, may we carry the flame of peace and love until we meet again. And we will see you next Sunday for reflecting on relating across differences. Please join us for coffee and tea down the hall.